everybody, and welcome to another edition of On a Couch Talking Sports. As always, I'm Robbie. Kyle is here as well. Kyle, how are you tonight?
Doing all right. Just, it's almost the end of the week where we almost made it. That's the Friday.
Exactly. One day away. Actually, at this point, less than 4 hours away from Friday. So, yes, always a good thing. And as you just heard in the background there, we have a special guest here tonight. He has become one of our favorite special guests. He is back for, I believe, the fourth time. Yeah, I don't know. He's kind of had some.
Hanging out with you guys so often, I kind of lost track at this point.
Yeah, he's kind of had some special guest appearances, some special cameos mixed in there as well. So he's kind of all he's been a big part of On a Couch Talking Sports over the last couple of years. Our friend Jerome is back with us tonight. How are you, Jerome?
Doing pretty well. Living the dream. Did some job assessments lately. Watching some good movies, hanging out, living life.
Nice. I know what? Nothing wrong with that. That sounds like a pretty good life right there. So, if you watched our last episode, Kyle and I played this little game where we sort of gave some scenarios, and we sort of had the other person and ourselves as well give their opinion as to whether or not said scenario was good or bad. And what we wanted to do is we actually wanted to do that again tonight, especially because we have Jerome joining us, who, definitely has a lot of good opinions about a lot of things. And, obviously has been part of the show several times now. So we wanted to kind of involve him in this exciting sort of game that we've picked up on. Again, a game that was originally played on, like I said, another show that I do and that Kyle was on called the Sports Blitz. Shameless plug, I know. But definitely, yeah, thank you. But definitely, you all should definitely tune into it. It's a good time. But yeah, so let's get into it here. We've come up with some different scenarios than we did last week, and so Kyle, I want to kick things off with you tonight. Sort of what because I know you kind of tend to sort of favor yours towards the the entertainment side of things. Kind of sprinkling in some good ones there. So what have you got for us this week in terms of some scenarios here?
All right, so last time I think I ended with a video game related one, so I figured I'll begin this one. I'll begin this one with a video game related one. All right, just to kick things off. So for those of you who don't know, it's this year. It's Mario's 35th anniversary, which is a big deal in Japan. They like I think 35 is that's like a big milestone. Like 35 years, it's like, okay, we got to really play up the celebration here. And to their credit, they did. They released a bunch of really cool Mario games and memorabilia and all that kind of stuff. But them being Nintendo, they decided, we're going to release this one Mario game on the Nintendo Online system, but we're going to take it out. It's like a battle royale game called Mario 35. It's like where 35 players can duke it out in the original Mario Brothers multiplayer style. Whenever they defeat enemies, more enemies go on their screens. It's a really fun game, but they're going to take it away by the end of the month. And also they're taking away, apparently, Mario 3D All-Stars, which is this really cool compilation of 3D Mario games from over the years. They're taking it away too. So, so good or bad? What do you think? What do you guys think?
I'm going to let the special guests go first here. Jerome, what do you think?
I totally got this. You're going to have a pre-discussion on this too.
Okay.
We prepped. Pretty much
no worries.
The Nintendo Switch, like what any company does, well, mostly, is profits are needed for the company to run. We understand that. But I feel like what the Switch has been doing, especially with the whole, taking out the 35th anniversary, which I'm sure, okay, they can't keep up that server, and there's a lot of resources that get to make that happen to be a thing. Same thing with All Stars. It's like, are they trying to be Disney right now? And we're going to release games, and then we're going to put it back in the vault for an X amount of time, so we can build up hype when we re-release it again in another X amount of years.
I would say it's personally, in my opinion, if I have to say one thing, would be kind of, I think it's bad. Because you get so many people who are hyped up and love playing this game, and like, no, if they're just into Battle Royale, they fucking love Battle Royale. And if you have like so many users, until you get to a point where you don't have that many users, which I still doubt, there's many people who love playing it. By taking it away, I feel like you're just like, all right, here you go, here's your gift, and then they just snatch it.
Yeah. I agree. I agree 100% on that one. I think it's bad as well because if nothing else, you're kind of alienating your core users there by like taking away a game. I mean, I don't see the positive effect of doing something like that. I don't know what kind of cost benefit analysis they're doing over there at at Mario there. But yeah, I agree with you. I think it's bad. I literally just dropped in cost benefit analysis. I don't even know if that is applicable to what I was just saying. That shows you how little I know about like video games. But anyway, I say it's bad. I say it's bad.
Well, I mean that's something to put like absolutely. Like I know there's a lot more like stuff behind it, but like personally, I was someone who was really invested in the Battle Royale mode. Pretty much what it is. Like playing Battle Royale, like online community with just different people. It's like, yeah, I'll be irks. I was like, no, I like playing this. Why are you giving it away?
It doesn't really seem like a wise thing to do, to take something away that your users could really be enjoying. It just doesn't seem like a good business practice there. So yeah, I agree. I think it's.
I get a prediction though. I think they're going to reintroduce it, but this time they're going to do they're going to just add it to the subscription again to like pay more into it potentially. Because again, companies need profits.
It's all about that bottom line, man. All about the bottom line. So, all right. So it looks like we're kind of in agreement on that one that it is bad. Kyle, I don't even know if you got to speak there, but
No, that's okay. I like hearing what you guys say first. So it's like,
what do you think? What are your thoughts?
I completely. I was just about to cut you off, and that was rude of me. I apologize. So go ahead.
No, I agree. I think you guys both really nailed it on the head. I think it's bad. I'm actually, so it's funny though, I'm not super annoyed about the Battle Royale mode because it is a fun mode, but it does get, like I've played it a bunch of times, and as fun as it is, it does get a little repetitive. So I'm not like super mad about that. However, I am very, very mad just generally when Nintendo does that kind of stuff because, okay, back in 2011, they re-released this Zelda game. It was the it was like the 10th year anniversary of like Four Swords. They re-released it with this it was this great anniversary edition. They had a single player mode, which the older game did not have on the Game Boy Advance. And they released it on the eShop, and you can get it for free. And granted, okay, I can understand like free game or whatever, but like you have something so good, something that's really well made, well developed, and you just take it away. I'm like, Nintendo, stop doing that.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. Does not make sense.
It's like, and especially it really, really annoys me. They have actually a whole site, believe it or not, dedicated to letting you know what they're going to take out.
Yeah,
which is like, it's so good. It's just like, sorry, I'm like rambling house here.
I didn't know they already did this before with Zelda. I didn't know it was like a common occurrence with them.
Yeah, they do. They do. This is not the first time they've done it. They release something. Whether it's like for some anniversary and then they just take it away after a while. Some, not obviously with every game. They're not going to do that with Breath of the Wild or Mario Odyssey, but you
have to buy them, so like they better not say you already bought it.
Yeah, no, like they've done it before with Super Mario All-Stars for the Wii. They've stopped production on it for after a while, and it's just like, guys, you have these great games. You're such a great game company, but you just take it away. Like, stop doing that. People want it.
I know. I'm completely in agreement with you guys. So that is a across the board bad right there. And before we move on to the next area, I do want to throw out a quick good job, good effort to Jerome on trying to close that door behind you just then. I think you actually may have opened it more in the process, but that's okay.
It's a roommate. I don't want to disturb him.
But yeah, so
Especially
Kyle,
serious topics about video games. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna be a bit loud.
hey, no, exactly. I'm with you. So Kyle, what is your next scenario here? What have you got?
Oh, going online, okay.
Yeah, go round down the line, Kyle. Go round down the line.
All right. So next scenario I had was so I was looking at there's rumors out there that potentially for the newest Spider-Man movie, which as we know is led by what's his name, Tom Holland, and he's like a major fan favorite for a lot of people. Personally, I'm a Tobey Maguire fan myself, but I can totally understand why people really like Tom Holland. He is a great actor. He's amazing, and he really is a good Spider-Man. But there's rumors that the two older Spider-Men are going to come back for the movie. Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. That's my guy. I like Tobey Maguire. I like Tobey. He's cool. So what do you think? Good or bad? Do you think it's good that the older Spider-Man are going to team up and with the newer one, or bad?
I kind of actually have to lean toward good on that one. I think, the more I'm not a big Spider-Man fan, and I'm not like Kyle and stuff like that, but I think the more I don't know. Yeah, exactly. I'm not a big fan like you guys, but I think the more Spider-Man, the better. I think it'd be kind of a nice, cool, nostalgic moment there for fans of the Spider-Verse to sort of have their favorite Spider-Man sort of come back together in one place. So I can see the positive of doing that. So I'm gonna go with good. I'm gonna go with good on that one.
I must agree. I think it's the same thing. I like it when movies just get crazy and weird and bring things together. Sometimes obviously execution matters. If they do it sloppily, no one's gonna like it. But it's the MCU and they don't do it sloppy. Sure, if something's gonna be boring, but they never half-ass it.
Oh, no, never.
So as long as it's done well, I think it's always good, regardless of any fandom franchise. It's how can you not if they can? For one, get all your favorite characters, even from the past generations, or whichever one you want to call it, and put it together in one, make a good story with it into a movie. But with MCU, it's I think they're going to get that, plus it's actually a legit good story along with it.
Yeah.
And I think it's always a plus, always a positive, because you get the whole fandom together when you do that.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle, what do you think?
I 100% agree. I think it's fantastic. I am fully behind that. If they do that, I know it's still rumors at this point. Tom Holland's trying his best not to spoil anything, but I think a lot of people they're speculating that it is going to happen at some point in the series. And yeah, I think it's a really cool idea, especially after the Spider-Verse movie we got about 2 years ago, actually 3, I think at this point, because it was 2018 it came out. Wow. And that movie was so great. That actually was one of my all-time favorite superhero movies. I thought it was such a great movie. And if they can do that on the big screen, and because a lot of the people got to know Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire because they've had at least more than one movie each. So I think, I agree. I think it's great. I'd love to see the chemistry between them because they are very different versions of Peter Parker, each of them. So that would be cool. I love it when they do this multiverse stuff. My head exploded when I watched Crisis on Infinite Earths, which is the DC version of that. So if they can do the Marvel version of that, done.
Easily, yes.
Very cool. Again, across the board agreement there. We all say good on that one. So moving on along, Kyle, your third scenario.
Okay, so this is going to be kind of out of the blue. I literally just stumbled upon this article literally about an hour before filming this episode. Fun fact. So this is it's not really movie related, but you can kind of see where it comes from the movies. Apparently in 2027, they are releasing a space hotel.
Yes, yes, I saw this. Yes.
Yeah, so just imagine this entire hotel that you can stay in, but it's in space. Good or bad? 2027.
Jerome, go ahead.
I don't really know if I can actually. I need some time to still think about this. Like I heard the news, like okay, this is a space hotel. All the rich people who wants to go up there will be able to afford to stay up there. But like, what if someone goes up there and they can't afford to stay? Do they eject them like in Among Us? It's like
escape pod,
yeah. I who doesn't want to go to space? Of course, they're going to make like that's like. If it's privatized, of course we want to go out there. Of course, obviously to be the select few who can actually afford it, which is be outrageous. But I think I don't know. I feel like it's like one of like I can't say it's necessarily all good or all bad because on the one hand, you're innovating. We're making shit. We're going to space, making hotel in space just like that sense alone. But on the other hand, it's like we're putting a lot of resources towards this direction and. Granted, hopefully, like I personally, I hope like it just helps advance science and they like there's a laboratory on it or some sort of testing that can only be done because there's a lot of things that are really great for just the advancements of society that you can do in space. But on the other hand, it's like who's funding this and who can pay for it and who in that aspect.
Yeah.
Who are the people paying to stay at? These are the people who are going to be staying at this because it's certainly not going to be me. And that's to do a giveaway or free trip sometime.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. Like, I don't know quite what to think about it. Like, on one hand, I mean, the premise of it is kind of cool. Oh, you get to stay like in a hotel in space. But on the other hand, like, what about like the whole idea of like zero, like gravity issues? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not sure. Like, what were you gonna be like floating around the hotel room? Like, what's gonna like? How's that gonna work exactly? And what happens like a meteor comes and like just hits the hotel while it's up there in space, like space rocks. Like, I mean.
Laws too, like what happens? They did sign a waiver. It's like if any crimes committed on this hotel, like because it's not
whose jurisdiction is that? Like, yeah, exactly.
No one owns space. There's no jurisdiction.
You're not even like in a country. You're in a universe. Like, yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'm kind of talking myself onto the bad side as we go here, but yeah, I honestly don't quite know which side fully to come down on that one. I'm kind of on the fence.
It's fun. It's gonna be fun. Like if this actually turns into a legit thing, just to see like the scenarios that come out of it. Like whatever the fuck shit happens up there. Like if there's the news outlet's gonna get their hands on it, and I'm gonna want to read it. Like what drama?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. I mean, it's gonna be entertainment for days for sure. Maybe they should make a whole reality. They'll probably make a whole reality show about it. Just like space hotel. It'll be the next. It'll be the next MTV like VH1 reality special. Ease all over. Yeah, no, it's already happening. But Kyle, I'm curious to hear what your take is on this.
Yeah, I'm definitely more on the fence on this one because I do agree. It's cool, like getting the chance of traveling to space and staying in a space hotel. You look out your window, oh look, stars. Oh look, maybe I see Mars from my window. I don't know. It's kind of trippy, and I figured David Bowie would be proud. David Bowie,
yeah, of course.
But
also, aren't you gonna have to wear like a spacesuit like during your entire stay? Because in
my head, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. In my head, I'm picturing like watch that Disney movie Xenon. The girl in the 21st century.
Oh, like maybe like they like I don't know, like make it somehow so that like you can breathe without your spacesuit inside the hotel. I don't know. It's an interesting concept.
Well, isn't it already a thing on space stations though? Once they get oxygen already on it, so you don't have to wear a space.
That's one thing that they definitely saw. You can definitely, even with zero gravity, you can still breathe. But it's just that's not the big issue. I think what it really is, like you guys are saying, like especially because it would be the first space hotel ever. So it's like, how safe is it?
So Kyle, what is your second to last scenario of this evening?
So I would say, okay, so movie director cuts. I was thinking about movie director cuts and extended cuts. You know, those have been a thing for a little while, especially when Peter Jackson had his Lord of the Rings movies come out in like 2001, you know. And, you know, a lot of times they'll re-release a movie. You know, you'll see the movie come out on DVD or Blu-ray, but then they'll re-release it again. It's like, oh, here's the extended cut, here's the director's cut. And recently we've seen that with the Zack Snyder cut, which is a 4-hour edition of Justice League, whereas the theatrical version was only 2 hours. So what do you guys think of those, good or bad?
Are just extending movies?
Just in general, like director's cuts of movies that maybe came out in theaters. So it can be either alternate versions or extended versions or whatever the hell you can, yeah.
I mean, I don't usually watch the director's cuts or extended cuts, but I mean, you know, if that's your thing, you know, go for it. I mean, I don't necessarily have a problem with it. I mean, some people I'm sure like to, you know, sort of see even more. So I mean, I'm sure, you know, there's a good following for that. So I mean, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. You know, I'm not that well versed in it, but you know, I don't know. I don't think it's. I would if I had to give an opinion, which yeah, this is what we're doing on the show. I would lean towards the good side. But again, that's for the very limited sort of knowledge base on this particular subject. So I'm sure Jerome has a much more informed opinion on this. So
well, kinda. I didn't even like go into, but yeah, I have a point on yours because you don't watch like the extended cuts or anything. But say you did watch it in the theater and you're paying this movie ticket to watch the director's the final vision, and it usually is the movie that comes out. And but the studios, of course, will like plenty of other movies, but especially with Batman vs Superman too, they cut it down so much because it was too long, and they wouldn't have been able to do so many runs in the theaters, so there would be less amount of show times people are buying tickets for. So in one case, I say that director cuts are. I always go for more director's cuts because it's the director's vision and what they really wanted this movie to be and what it's showcasing through their art. As in the movies, like actually in theaters, the studios has much more say about that. They can kind of any which way they want, and of course, there's going to be some struggles and things be taken out. Communication will suck, but at the same time, it's like what they're presenting in the theater is like I guess like really is what you're first showing to everybody, and I think it's like I don't know. I would say yes, it's a good thing for having all these extended cut trailers, especially with the Snyder cuts of the new Justice League. But at the same time, is like if you pay that for the movie tickets in the theaters and you got the initial one and you're disappointed on it, why would you buy it again just to get the fully unlocked version? It kind of feels like the DLC of a movie, kind of.
Yeah.
And it's like you should have been presented with this in the first place, in a sense.
Valid point. Yeah, very fair point. I see where you're coming from. Yeah, like I said, I'm not. I don't really have a strong opinion on it, so it's like, but I could definitely see both sides of it in this case. I feel like, but Kyle, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I think you guys made really good points. I definitely have to agree with Jerome's point, especially with it being like good and bad, because yeah, my thing with director's cuts is it's nice, you know, to have the director really show their vision of the movie. Like especially in the case of like where a studio will take over too much, you know, and like what you see in the theater is just kind of like a mess of like the studio interfering, and you know when you get to see them, yeah, like the Batman v Superman director's cut or the Superman 2 Richard Donner cut, you know that was more close to their vision, and I think that's a really good opportunity to see that. And extended cut, like Lord of the Rings extended cuts, I think are really good too, because it's just kind of a fun thing. It's like you got both versions of the movies, the theatrical and the extended, which I think both work in their own merit. However, I think there's a lot of cases too, and extended cuts are just kind of big, just kind of to add like a third kind of angle on this too. I think extended cuts are kind of like also can be a bit of a cash grab, because a lot of times you see a movie in theaters And that movie that came out in the theaters is the director's vision. That's their movie. And then the studios are like, let's just throw an extended cut, and we'll throw all this like extra footage in the movie that was on the cutting room floor for a reason. So, so it's like good that there are like the director's fully realized versions of the movie, especially like movies like Blade Runner, The Final Cut, like those movies, like that's what Ridley Scott wanted to make. Where as opposed to like extended cuts, the unrated version, just because it's just kind of a more cash grabby. So.
If I may add too, from a personal standpoint, I like watching the theatrical cuts. But with certain movies that I wouldn't say I want to rewatch if it's the exact same movie because I already saw it once, unless I really, really like it. Seeing it with the director's cut and all the extra storyline plot lines, that is more enticing to rewatch it because it's different the second time around.
True. Good. I mean, very, very valid points. I definitely see both sides of it, like I was saying before. So, so Kyle, now we're on to your fifth and final scenario for this evening. What have you got to round us out tonight, or to round your stuff out tonight, I should say?
All right, so this last one is a recent development. So CBS All Access, as we know, or don't know, who knows? I don't know how many.
If you don't know now, you know. I mean, who knows?
So that streaming service is collapsing. That's it. They're getting rid of it, and they're going to move everything, as we have learned from the Super Bowl commercial, to Paramount Plus. All the movie and TV characters climbed up the mountain. They're all in Paramount Plus.
Rebranding.
Yeah, exactly. So what do you guys think? Do you think it's a good thing to move to Paramount Plus, just have everything there, or do you think it's a bad?
I'll let Jerome go first here.
Oh, thank you. I feel like, this kind of goes to all the streaming questions. It's like, CBS is a failed streaming platform. Yeah. Well, it depends on how you define failure, but they probably failed. Because not many people bought into the service, or there was not like a discussion, and they would have no subscribers. We're in a flood of all the streaming services. Sure. Ever since Netflix proved that it could be a viable business model, all every other company does it. Disney does it, HBO Max, Hulu, Amazon, all of them. There's plenty, way too much out there. And with the whole thing with CBS, if you're saying necessarily it's a good or bad thing that CBS is turning to Paramount, I would say it's either or. I think it's just another streaming service, or whatever the holding company is for them. It's trying to keep it alive because they still have a lot of content. They have a shit ton of content that they can use, but they just don't want to give it out to another company, or give it to Netflix or to Amazon, to whatever, to do the merger. Good or bad? I'll say bad because I don't know. There's just way too much streaming services out there, and it's this is why we've been away from cable.
Good point. Yeah. I have to agree, and kind of I think you hit the nail right on the head there. There's just so much. There's so much out there. I mean, I'm not big into streaming services myself. Yes, I do use Disney Plus, and that was mainly so I could watch Hamilton. Yes, full disclosure there, but I agree with you, Jerome. I don't really have a whole lot to add, to be honest with you. I think you kind of hit the nail right on the head there. So I'll piggyback off what you just said there.
I didn't big it.
Kyle, what do you think?
Well, I cannot believe you guys are, discrediting Paramount Plus. It's going to be the greatest streaming service that this world has ever seen. No, I'm sorry. I really, I just what am I going to watch on that thing? I don't watch any of those CBS shows. The only CBS show I watched was Supergirl, and now it's on CW. So no, I'm sorry. They don't have my attention. I really don't care. You guys are right. There's too many streaming services out there. And with all the streaming services that are going to be going there, people are getting rid of cable and all that stuff because of the cost. Pretty soon, all these other streaming services are added up to the point.
Pretty much people are going to be getting rid of streaming services because it's getting too costly.
Exactly. Yeah. So people are just gonna go back to cable because they don't want to pay all those like different fees for like this and that for every month. It's like
it's true.
Like who cares?
No, that's right. You're right.
Already like $14 a month. Amazon Prime, you have to have
Yeah.
accounts, lots of subscription on that set. HBO Prime's like another 13 on top of that. And like those are the things you'll
Just
keep.
throw it away. You might as well just throw away your money. You know, just throw it away,
yeah.
throw it in the trash. You know.
I think I calculated is I got to calculate again how much we pay, like how much we pay monthly, like just like streaming services.
I mean, it's still less now, but like
Well, it's definitely worth it, easily worth it still. But like it's going to the point where it's the tipping point. Like I'm just like, no, I'm not gonna add anymore. I don't need this.
just like
No, stay away.
Yeah.
Just like find a handful of them that have your favorite shows. And at least the good news is the CW service is free. That's what I like about that. And same with YouTube, it's free. So it's like I do like that aspect of it. But I mean, obviously those come with ads, but like, you know, at least they're free. So whereas like, yeah, I don't want to pay another monthly subscription. I'm already paying my Nintendo subscription too, like every year. Granted, it's not that much.
Yeah, that's cheap enough. But
yeah,
but still though, like regardless, you're still paying into it. So it shouldn't be a waste.
Yeah. No, I agree with you guys. I agree. I think it's just like it's too much. It's going to be too much is what it comes down to. So, well, thank you, Kyle, for those. A lot of very nice discussion there on those scenarios. Definitely a lot of good opinions there. And so now we'll turn our attention to the sports side of things because we are on a couch talking sports, and I happen to have in front of me some sports scenarios that I've come up with for my five. The first one has to do with sports and money. And in professional sports, and a lot of the professional sports leagues, there are what we call salary caps, which basically is a cap on how much a team can spend on players in a given year. The only sport that really doesn't do a salary cap is professional baseball. Other than that, all the other major sports, you know, at least in this country, have, like I said, have a cap on how much a team can spend each year in terms of, you know, paying their players. So I want to know from you guys, and Jerome, I'll start with you again on this one, is are salary caps in sports for teams, are not like individual players, we're talking team-wise, are team salary caps a good thing or a bad thing?
So what you're saying here is like for a specified amount of team or just any team, that team dictates how much the highest the
league dictates to each team in its league that you can only spend a set amount of money each year on paying your players' salaries. So you can only Yes.
Okay, I know immediately out the back bad. Why are we allowing the league dictate what the team can do with their money or how they should limit it? If it was across the board and it was a blanket, like, okay, no player in this entire league can have this, that's okay because at least it's fair because now you can't dictate how much a team can pay on that one. I don't understand. I didn't know this was a thing, honestly. This is all new to me. But just like hearing it, I feel like that's... Why would you limit how much a team can play a certain person?
Yeah, so
the franchise comes into play.
I can answer that question, and I agree with you. I'll be honest, but basically the short answer to that question is they're doing it in the name of parity because obviously some teams are much bigger markets than other teams and have make much more money. Like the Patriots make more money, you know, on average than say, I don't know, what's a like the Kansas City Chiefs or something like that, sort of a smaller market team. So what they're trying to do is prevent what they're trying to, again, this is them talking, not me. What they're trying to do is sort of prevent like a team like the Patriots or like a New York team or like one of these bigger market teams from like going out and buying up all the players and just like spending unlimited amounts of money, you know, to try to buy up all the best players so that they basically win titles every single year. So that's kind of like why they kind of limit. Yeah, that's why they can limit. I'm not a big fan of it myself. I don't think it's necessarily a good thing. I mean, I guess I understand it a little bit, like in that sense, but at the same time, like agree with your point in the sense that like I feel like teams should be able to like spend their money. You know, we live in like a sort of a capitalistic society. Teams earn the money, they should be able to spend it, you know, sort of however they want it. Just, you know, the competition, freedom of competition, you know, just, you know, sort of it is what it is. So but yeah, I don't necessarily like it myself either. I think it kind of puts a lot of limits on what teams can do, and I don't think that that's like the fairest thing. But
the way you explaining, I guess now it kind of makes sense because we're trying to like make sure the playing field is level.
No, it is a level playing field. Yeah. No.
At the same time, though, they're taking something away.
Yeah, it's a hard one because I mean, obviously, you know, I understand the level playing field argument, but I also understand like the capitalistic argument to it as well. So it's like kind of like I don't know. I would side on bad, but I can also see another thing where I can kind of see both sides of the argument. But Kyle, let me let you jump in here because I kind of just jumped in with my opinion there. So you go right ahead.
No, that's all good. I know that's a tricky one because, like Jerome, I didn't really exactly I kind of vaguely heard about that before, but like I didn't really know how I didn't really know about it in depth, you know. But you know, I guess I really wasn't sure to be honest, because you're right. It's definitely I think a much more tricky kind of topic. Because you're right. Yeah, you don't want to you're right. You don't want to have all one team like gain all the power. You don't want them to become like Thanos and like have a freaking Infinity Gauntlet, just like of like all players or anything like that. But yeah, at the same time, I guess I can see why you're right. I guess you wanted to make sure
the teams can play like competitive.
Yeah, honestly, that's a tough one. I'm gonna stay undecided for now. I really don't 100% know. That's just tough. Yeah, because you guys both.
It's one of those gray areas. I mean, personally, myself, I'm choosing bad over good. It's a more of a bad. I'm leaning towards that direction.
Yeah, a little more bad than because you're right. There is a capitalistic nature, like you guys were talking about, and yeah, like especially if the teams earn that money. You know, it's one thing if like they're taking money that could be spent elsewhere, you know, but like it is if it's their money that they earned, then yeah, you're right. It's just kind of like, yeah, why would you, you know, yeah. It's not fair. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's something. So I guess I would lean a little more bad. I think it's something maybe they could just kind of maybe revamp a little bit. Maybe they don't have to put a whole cap on it. Maybe they could, I don't know, negotiate some other tactic on that. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough one because yeah, like you said, you can kind of see both sides of it of the argument there. But yeah, like I said, I would agree with Jerome in the sense I would kind of lean towards the bad side myself as well. The second thing is sort of something that's going on in our state that was just announced within the last week or so, and that is that starting later this month, fans are going to be allowed back into sports venues across the state. Yes, lost my headphones there for a second. Hold on. There we go. It's just that kind of night, folks. But yeah, so yeah, Governor Charlie Baker announcing, I think it was like a week or so ago, that starting March 22nd, the pro sports venues here in town are going to be opening up back to fans. Now, it is only at a 12% capacity to start. So he's not just saying it's going to be a free for all, you know, back to full fans like it was before. So we're starting off small. But what I wanted to know from you guys, and Kyle, I'll start with you on this one, is the whole idea of the governor, you know, at this point allowing fans back into Fenway, Gillette, and the Garden. Is it good or is it bad?
So, all right. Look, I and Robbie and I talked about this. We were talking about how it would be great to go back, watch, sports again, live, especially hockey games, because I particularly like hockey games the most, I think, when it comes to going to live sports. But, I think I would 100% say no especially for indoor events. If we're talking like Fenway Park, where it's like outdoor, I would say, okay, sure, 12%, okay, I guess. But I get really worried about the indoor events, and especially when the vaccine hasn't been completely distributed. I think, personally, that's just me. I think that they should wait at least till the vaccine is distributed, to everyone. And once it's more widely distributed, then I think it's probably okay to open up again. But like, I don't know. I just, especially because they're talking about like the vaccine shipments, not like they're having a little trouble with it here and there. So it's just like, I think maybe they could have waited a little longer, to be honest.
So
how long? I don't know.
off.
Yeah, that's just my opinion.
Yeah, that's a very valid point. Jerome, what do you think?
I kind of agree with that, and only that's kind of like, I mean, like, I'm kind of okay with it for the outdoor events, like, because it's 12% capacity. What we have like currently, also next month, like all outdoor seatings for our state too are going to be allowed. Unlike Texas, which I highly am against, like that's not even up for discussion. That
I think we all agree is
that's
a really bad thing that's happening right there. But
getting back onto topic though, with Massachusetts allowing outdoor seating for like going to restaurants, for like the bars, like those definitely is an industry that needs to stay in service, and like they need to stay above water. Similarly, same thing for the sporting events, like having them, like they need to somewhat continue up their revenue. But I think I'm assuming they've been doing pretty fine lately. Like I haven't been keeping up with how badly they lost during the whole pandemic.
I mean, they definitely have lost for sure. But I mean, and obviously, there's other factors at play, like TV ad revenues and TV contracts and stuff like that kind of help offset a little bit. But it definitely, I mean, let's be honest. A lot of teams out there have been hurting over the past year for sure, without sort of the fan and sort of those the revenues that come in as because of having fans in the seats.
I would say it's promising and it's nice. I want to go back to the play. I want to go to a Bruins game. Because I just want to go to any game, really. I really want to just like go to a concert and do something. But I feel like since we're so close to the vaccine rollout happening legitimately, I feel like it's something that we already made it this far. Just push it back a bit more until we're having more safety, or like, I'm not sure how they're going to be able to say, oh, who got vaccinated, who doesn't have nothing. Like, I think vaccination cards should be a thing. Like, oh, I got vaccinated. Here's the proof.
I will say this: they have been. Like, when you go to get your vaccine, you get a.
Oh, you do.
You do get a vaccination card. That like sort of shows how much, like, what dose you've got and of what, all this different stuff. So that I can tell you for sure it has been happening, at least in this state.
See, one rule which I personally wouldn't be against is if they're going to be reopening like the football, like any like the major event areas, especially for Fenway. It's like, okay, if they have a vaccine card, come on in. It's like, well, you should be into it, like go and just like go crazy with it. But if they're not going to have like such and I doubt they're going to have that much of a restriction or security of that.
Yeah, I don't think they're doing like that specific right now.
Yeah,
I think that.
So yeah, I'll go to.
Yeah, no, and that's very fair. I think I'm going to go with good, but I'm going to preface it by saying that it's only good if they do it the right way, and if both the teams, the venues, and the fans alike handle it in the correct way and do it in the safest way possible. I do think there is a very safe way to do this if you adhere to, strict protocols and, sort of take all the proper precautions that you've sort of been taking in real life or sort of in life in general these days. I like I said, I think it is doable. I see your guys' point. Believe me that with the vaccine rollout sort of not still kind of on the smaller side of things. I'm very concerned and interested to see how exactly it goes, sort of opening up, sort of like in these particular capacities and things like that. But I think that, I mean, I think it could be a very good thing, especially, because, there are a lot of teams out there that have had fans back sort of throughout the seasons in various capacity numbers and stuff like that. And it definitely makes a difference having fans in the stands as opposed to being in an empty stadium. But at the same time, I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna say good, but I'm gonna preface it by saying it's only gonna be good if they do it in the right way. If fans, teams, and venues alike really adhere to strict guidelines and basically do it the right way. I mean, I think that if they do that, then it could be a really good thing. If not, then I wouldn't be surprised if it kind of gets pulled back quickly because it could get us into a little bit into trouble. So it's sort of I'm gonna say good, but I'm also gonna take sort of a wait and see approach on it at this point. So
I hope all of it and they're smart about it, and I hope nothing bad comes out of it.
That's right. No, you're right. You're absolutely right. And we'll have to sort of wait and see. But all right, my next scenario number 3 for me. In the NHL, in the regular season, they have if the game ends in a tie in regulation, the way they settle it is they play a 3-on-3 overtime, and if nobody scores in the 3-on-3 overtime, they go to a shootout, a best of 3 round penalty shot shootout to decide who wins the game. So what I was curious to hear from you guys is, do you think when it comes to deciding a game with a shootout specifically, again, if the game is tied after regulation and the one overtime period, do you think doing that, sort of using that as a decider, is a good thing or a bad thing? Jerome, I'll start with you.
Okay. Just thinking about it, this kind of reminds me of like the and this is for hockey, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I think of Mighty Ducks. It's like, okay, perfect. This is exactly what same scenario. I think the system's fair. It's your team, and in terms of like the shootout, they dictated to, was it like 5 people, or they just do the shootout till somebody?
So for the shootout in the NHL, it's 3 rounds. So each team gets like three shooters apiece.
Okay, I think the current system's fair. I think the shootout's an okay way to do it because teams have to like pick someone else. Because it kind of saves you, like, what if 2 teams are just like so well evenly matched and they can't get a score on each other and then just continue, like the game can go on potentially for days, ever go for a while. So they need to put a stop in there some way to like force it to happen, to like kind of like sudden death, essentially, a shootout. I feel like I can't say if it's good or bad. I will say it works. It works, I guess.
You're definitely right about that. I'll get into my opinion in a little bit here, but you're definitely right about that. It does serve a purpose. I can't really
say it for myself. I mean, I'm just not that knowledgeable, and I don't know as much as the next person. I think it's okay. I think it's. I'd say it's good. So far, it's good.
Hey, I think you made some very valid points there. Kyle, what do you think?
I'm sorry. I'm not disagree. And this is why I think this game gets really interesting because I love like it's really cool when you get like different perspectives. I say take that shit out of here. I personally am not a big fan of shootouts. I think it really kind of cheapens a little bit. Granted,
Thank you. Yes, yes. I love where this is going already. I love it.
and granted, the thing is though, like you did make really good points because
absolutely.
Because the one kind of issue about hockey is that sometimes it can take forever to score a goal. So I can understand, when they were making that, how they wanted to get this kind of this tiebreaker, this way of like, okay, we got like a sudden death kind of like a Super Smash Brothers, like both characters start with 300 HP and you got to knock one of them out of the thing. But anyway, sorry, that's a different story. But I just, granted, it's not as bad as the second base thing that you were talking about.
We're not getting started with that again. I already went on that rant.
That's another rabbit hole there we can get into.
No. But you and I agree on that one too, but we won't go down that rabbit hole right there.
Yeah, so I'm not going to say it's as bad as that, because that I think is the worst thing of all time.
Yeah, I hate it. I cannot stand it. And in closing, like I said, it's not a good way to end the game. I'd rather end in a tie. But that's kind of what I got. Is as you could tell, I completely agree with Kyle. I don't.
Okay, that's fair though. You compelled me to agree with you because I guess
Jerome, yes.
Play the sport till the end time, and when you keep playing that the exact same sport, same rules till the end time, and no one scores, it's a tie. It's just making a tie.
Exactly.
I agree. I think
No, I agree. I agree completely. So, all right.
You're the lower level, so it's like, you're like high school, so it's like, why not just keep it for the pros? Or
let's keep the gameplay going. I mean, it's all gameplay. I feel like when you put the shootout, you're changing the rules. You're changing the gameplay of how
you're changing the strategy. You're changing the strategy of it. Yeah. No, I agree. But the next thing I wanted to go on to actually has to do with football. Has to do with the NFL. And the fact that they announced, I think it was like a couple months ago, they announced sort of officially that they are going to be adding a 17th regular season game beginning this coming season. So usually in past years, obviously up until as far as I can remember, they played each team plays 16 regular season games, and then there's the playoffs. So now, starting next year, they are going to add a 17th regular season game. So and you could probably see where I'm going with this. The scenario is 17th NFL regular season game. And Jerome, I'll start with you. Good or bad idea?
Okay, I knew it was only 16 weeks. I didn't know they want to add an extra week to it. Is it because of logistics? Like, we didn't get any new teams, did we?
No, we didn't get any new teams. I think they just want to play another game so they can make more money. I don't know.
Okay, maybe. Does adding the 17th week make it more fair for them to like?
I don't think it does. It doesn't really do anything other than add another game where they can sell ads for. And put on television. Jerome, again, money makes the world go round.
Yes, I agree with that.
Why they're doing it.
I would say bad. I like the 16th week. We had 16th sure, it's okay to change things every once in a while, but like, what's the positive things that are coming out of the 17th week? If I'm not seeing anything that's going to change the game, why change it? You don't break what's not broke.
Yeah, hey, very valid point. Very valid point.
What do you think, Kyle?
Yeah, Kyle, go ahead.
No, I agree. I think to me it's like the Paramount Plus thing. I read on the same level as that. I really don't give a shit. I think it's just you're not adding anything to it. It's just like
the current system works.
Yeah,
it's 16 weeks, and I like 16 weeks sounds way better than 17 weeks. I don't know why. I just like saying, oh, it's a 16.
It sounds like an even number.
That's true. That is true. Well, I mean, look at it this way: you won't have any teams having 500 records now because they'll either be 8-9 or 9-8. But yeah,
get out of here.
I would side with bad as well. The one thing I will say, hey, listen, I love watching professional football, so I mean, I'll probably still watch it. But the one thing I'll add on to what you guys said is I'm afraid, like, with there being extra week, there's going to be more risk of injury to players. Like, you know, players getting injured in that 17th week and then having to miss, like, a playoff game or, like, you know, the playoffs in general. It could be a slippery slope for the NFL. So I'm going to agree with you guys here. I'm going to say bad as well to a 17th week for that reason specifically.
Well, the unanimous decision there.
Yes. All right.
NFL, put that 17th week shit out.
Yeah. Send it back, NFL. All right. And then my fifth and final scenario, and this is kind of like not a hypothetical scenario, but this is kind of like it's a scenario that's kind of up in the air just in general. You'll see what I mean in just a second here. But the Summer Olympics, we're supposed to be summer 2020. We're pushed, obviously, due to the pandemic to summer 2021. A lot of questions right now as to whether or not they are actually going to be held. We've heard some rumors that they are not going to be held. Some rumors that Japan is pushing ahead. They're doing everything they can to hold the games. You know, and obviously, if they are held, they would be with very, I'm sure, tight restrictions and stuff like that. But I guess my question is, just to throw it out to you guys, and Kyle, I'll start with you. Holding the 2021 Summer Olympics in Tokyo, bad or good?
Well, I mean, that's a tricky one because if you think about all the traveling that, people got to do from different countries, and, every country is at a different state with COVID.
That's right.
So I think it's very risky to do it. Maybe in Japan, maybe they got on lockdown. Maybe they're just like, oh, we got this thing going. I haven't really.
They're doing pretty well, better than America.
True. True.
So even with that in mind too, like if they're doing, they are doing that great, but you invite all these other people, all these other athletes, even if it's not like audience members, obviously they probably won't have audience members there, which they shouldn't.
Yeah.
I hope they don't. But even when you invite all these other people from different countries to compete in this, you're going to run a risk of getting more cases going. So it's like, I don't think I'd say bad for now. I would say they should just push it until, I guess I would say like the Boston sports thing. I think they should just kind of wait till the vaccines are more evenly distributed. Once everyone's kind of taking care of that, then it's like, okay, maybe there's a chance they could open it to like a limited capacity, but I think that it's a huge risk right now. So,
Jerome?
I must agree. I think pushing for the Olympics to be this next summer is way too soon. And if they do push it, like there shouldn't be any. Well, I hope they don't have any audience members. But similar to like earlier in your points, like Massachusetts, like the Fenway opening up, Massachusetts, like here, it's like 2.5% capacity. But with the Olympics, I think it's more different because it is all the countries that participate in it come from all over the world, and every country has a different level of what phases they are in getting over coronavirus. And I think, in addition to that, and personally, in my opinion, I think all Olympics, everything should have just been skipped over 2020. Every schedule they had going forward should be pushed back 4 years and give Japan 2024. And just like everyone else has to just now plan 4 years back in the point. And it's like, well, you know what happened in 2020? The whole world was suffering coronavirus. So like, you don't have to finally just like, okay, it has to happen this year. They need to do it right now. It's like, isn't the point of the Olympics is to like really get the world together and like just show like we're participating as one. It's like we are still all people on this planet. And the one thing that really brought us all together is dealing with this damn pandemic in one of the worst times. So it's like, it's okay to have this gift year because everyone, and the most like devastating thing is like affected us. Yeah. Like, I think it should be acknowledged, and it's okay for like, I would appreciate the Olympics more, and I would like more if they did something similar to that regard. But with Japan rushing to open up, and with athletes, if they want to go there and they want to participate, which there's plenty of sports that they will not be able to contact, say socially distanced. Like it's the Olympics, like it's going to be very like all close quarters with the athletes. And on top of that, I also feel like it's also not fair to countries that are like even like some of the more hurt ones, because like the athletes also there are not, they don't have like the same resources as like some of the better countries have to like keep their athletes like protected. So like people are doing a lot of shit family wise, mental wise. It's like who's going to be going into this now? Like the level of competitiveness, and like would say like a really well off country who's all their athletes they were able to keep just tip time, fine shape, and up to the point versus I don't know, like I'm trying to think of maybe like some of like smaller populations countries that their athletes are dealing with other shit and they're not going to be able to perform as well when we get back into it.
Yeah, no, you guys make a very valid point. I agree with you that it's like it's very risky. I say I don't think it's necessarily good. I think I'm more like on the fence because I just don't have full enough information as to like how Japan, if they were to hold it, would be like how they would go about like trying to ensure like that the athletes stay safe, like what their protocols would be. So I don't necessarily know if I can give a firm opinion until I see if they decide to go forward, like until I see what kind of protocols they're putting in place and stuff like that, because there may be a safe way to hold it. I don't know, but I completely agree with you guys that it is a very risky thing, and it may be just a smart idea to just sort of scrap it and just move on, to 2024 and have, like you were saying, Jerome, have Japan host in 2024 and then sort of push everything
back to the next
years. That makes a lot of sense. Will they do that? I don't know. Again, I haven't heard much recently as to what sort of where they're sort of at with that. But it's gonna be very interesting to see what they ultimately decide to do. So I'm gonna withhold my full judgment, but I definitely agree with you guys that it is very risky.
Yeah. But I must say also, like, if they do move forward with it, I hope they take all the right precautions yet again, get as many of those vaccines as possible going into it. And I do like watching some of the water sports. I do like watching the swimming ones. So I'm going to watch it. But,
oh, yeah.
But it's like, I really think they don't though, either. I mean, it's like, just push it back, please.
So what I wanted to do now is I wanted to throw it to Jerome and ask him if he had any sort of scenarios that he wanted to throw out to us, as our special guest, or throw out to us to get our sort of opinions on sort of a good, bad
I don't really have too many prepared on this one. I mean,
okay.
I think the main thing I don't know. There's quite a few like news, political events, and other issues that I think it's pretty obvious what's good or bad. One thing I've kind of been getting into, just because, okay, I guess it's kind of a news. I have one.
Okay. Cool.
All right, so it's not exactly related to it, but like, are you aware of GameStop, the whole GameStop and Wall Street bets?
Oh yes, the Robin Hood or whatever it is, yeah.
How all that's been playing out. I guess like that's not a topic of the day. I kind of went on a segue because of like all this the online trading, and then Ethereum, and then like that subreddit Wall Street Bets. Well, I'm assuming a lot of Reddit, but people in general started investing in Ethereum or other different like online currencies. And so this brought me back to a point when I used to be a research associate at MIT. And one of the articles I came across, like actually something kind of delved into, was Bitcoin. And so I had just been recently watching more documentaries on it, just like learning more shit on it, and realizing how much power it takes to have one Bitcoin. And an equivalency is about, for one Bitcoin, it is equivalent. The power it takes to generate one Bitcoin is like leaving your television on for 90 years. It needs so much energy. And like currency, we are heading towards a digital market. I don't think it's like the physical transactions aren't be a thing. Even like this year, I feel like kind of helps accelerate it because people aren't making cash anymore. It's all really so. Like we are headed towards that direction, and we need more security because digital is the future. But at the same time, to run that complex algorithms for Bitcoin or even the blockchains, it's so complex. It takes up so much energy that the carbon footprint is bad for the environment. So now we have like, it's great that we have this whole like better ease transactions, potentially good security depending if somebody wants to hack into it, but also it's kind of bad. We're using so much energy for it. And if it's 100% from renewable sources, great, but typically it's not. It's still hard to even get to that stage. So yeah, I have one thing, not really related to y'all, but like Bitcoin, good or bad?
Ooh.
That's interesting. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, no, that is, I like it. That is a good, because you're right. It is kind of like a very hot button sort of topic these days, for sure, in this day and age. I hate to say I don't know that much. I think the problem is I don't know like that like as much about it. So it's like it's hard for me to like form like a firm, concrete opinion on it. I like
that's totally fair. Like I said, this came more out of
no. It's a very valid question to ask. It's a very valid topic because I definitely have heard a lot about it, but like I don't quite get it, so to speak. So I don't know how to feel about it, I guess is what I'm trying to. So I'll kind of say, sort of long story short, that I'm kind of on the fence about this one, just because I don't like have a firm grasp on this particular topic yet. So I don't know what Kyle thinks though.
That's okay. If I could say like more as like plainly, it's essentially, well, the way I see it, it's like better security, better ease of access, and better, easier ways to do transactions. Okay. Negatives, barriers, just like people who want to understand how to use it, like that's a huge barrier. Like a lot of people don't have Bitcoin or like take online currencies or even investments because we haven't built along that one. And the environments. How much energy are we using, and are we using energy correctly for this thing?
Point.
Personally, I want to always like, if it's bad for the environment, I am against it typically because like I'm a tree hugger. I want the planet to like survive. That's where I'm going towards, because we only have one planet.
That's true.
Yeah,
because we were talking about it a little bit before actually, and I would definitely lean towards bad. I don't know, just the stuff about Bitcoin. It just I'm not like, I don't have the greatest feeling about it. I'm not gonna lie. I don't really trust it as a currency right now. I'm not gonna say that for all digital currency because I totally get where you're coming from.
It's inevitable. Like we already headed towards that.
Yeah, I mean, you got digital video games, you got digital this and that. So yeah, there's gonna be digital currency. So no, I'm not completely against that. Because you're right. That's credit and everything, debit. But when it comes to Bitcoin specifically, I don't know. I just think the company is very skeevy. Like they just don't really rub me the right way.
I mean, it's great to track your transactions.
Oh yeah. Like you're right. It's not all bad. It does have some positives, but especially for people like me who I don't really know how to use digital currency right now, and especially I'm sure you got
that's the whole person. Like that is.
Yeah,
it's a whole new thing, and I feel like we're just even like as a society, and the government's still trying to get a handle on it. Like, how is this kind of controlling it, and it's unregulated, so that's its own little thing too.
Yeah, that's right. And the other thing, and the other kind of like, I know it's going to be kind of, maybe this is a little, well, not out of left field, but like, there's still a lot of businesses too. There's a lot of small businesses, because I was thinking about some of the places around the area that actually still take cash. Like you go to a place like Magnificent Muffins, and both locations, the one in Somerville and Medford, they actually both take cash only. And even there's even certain bars and stuff like that do
Four
that.
C's ice cream. 4C, can't forget about 4C's.
Oh my God! Of course.
Yeah.
How could I? Although actually, I think they started taking credit this summer. Believe it or not. So.
Wow! The breaking news right there. Mind blown. Whoa.
Yeah, it was crazy. I remember going there, and like they had like the iPads all set up with like it was great. I was like, oh, okay, I guess you solved that problem.
There you go.
Not that it was a fun thing, but there's just a lot of businesses out there that still take cash, and I think that's going to hurt them if it's just like all digital. But then again, you're right. Like you said, it is inevitable.
Like Thanos.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just so yeah. Okay, not to say like that all digital money is bad. But I think Bitcoin specifically, I just never really. And yeah, you did bring up a good point too about how to use all that energy for something as big as that. And it's just like, yeah, if it's not going to be used correctly or just too much and it affects the environment, then yeah, that's another,
Yeah, it's like you have your positive, pros, and negatives on that point.
Yeah.
Honestly, there's so many facets to this conversation. Getting into basic
we can have a whole show. We can have a whole show just on this particular topic.
Like, there's already so much class already based on this. Like, we're just talking at it as guys on a couch.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's a very interesting topic. So I appreciate you bringing it up, because first Bitcoin reference on a couch talking sports. So
you're not all the guests we had, yeah.
That's why I'm the guest.
Yeah, that's right. He brings stuff that we wouldn't even think to talk about and brings it into the content factor, and I love it.
Great. This might come back for future episodes. We're gonna set you up.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we have it back time and time again. But we are going to start to wrap up tonight's episode. And what we always like to do when we have a guest on is sort of give the guest an opportunity to give, any sort of final thought that they may have just about anything. So Jerome, I know you kind of went off a little bit on there on sort of currency and stuff like that. That was a pretty. That was kind of a final thought in and of itself. But if there's any sort of other, final thoughts that you have to wrap up your time on the show, the floor is yours.
Anything comes up.
Anything.
I'm not sure if a final thought. I think it's more a reflection, mainly from your segments, learning that there's a 17th season, or like the rules of a shootout, like why a shootout shouldn't be a thing. I feel like those are the most enlightening things today, and I think my final thoughts is like I want to learn. I need to read more into this. I want to get more aware.
Salary caps. You also learned about salary caps.
Salary caps too. There's a lot of them coming on. And me and Kyle already talked about a lot of stuff as well. So like a lot of stuff he brought up, like we live in the same house.
Yeah.
But final thoughts? Wow, sports change very fast.
True.
The one new changes that I just don't upkeep, and like, no, it's nice to just. I need to talk more and just love being here. And
always enjoy having you. Always enjoy having you for sure.
Because I said the same thing. I said the same thing last week. We probably was talking about the second baseman, which is that's a whole other rabbit hole. We'll get into another time. But like he introduced me his new role. I'm like, wait, this is a thing? So it's fun. It's so funny because you learn so much just like talking to each other, about all this stuff.
So final thoughts is like I'm gonna expose myself, read some more of these new articles all around, and just enlighten myself.
I love it. Definitely. Like I said, I think that's awesome. I think I don't know where I was going with that statement, other than to say that I think it's great. I think it's great. But yeah, so my final thought for the evening, Robbie's final thought segment, is that speaking of changes in local sports and sports teams, a fan favorite for the Boston Red Sox will no longer be with the Boston Red Sox, as Jackie Bradley Jr. Has signed a free agent contract with the Milwaukee Brewers as of yesterday. And I just wanted to say to Jackie, who's probably not watching the show, but thank you for all your highlight reel catches in your time patrolling center field at Fenway Park. You were very fun to watch, especially, like I said, on the defensive side of things. I mean, just some of the catches he made. I still don't know how he made some of those catches that he made, and always enjoyed watching him play. And now officially the 2018 World Series winning outfield that sort of coined the they had their little slogan, win, dance, repeat, because they'd always like do little dances in the outfield when they would win a game. They are now all no longer members of the Red Sox, with Mookie Betts now in LA, Andrew Benintendi now in Kansas City, and Jackie Bradley Jr., as I said, now in Milwaukee. So yeah, just wanted to sort of throw a quick shot out there to good old JBJ, and best of luck in your future endeavors there in Milwaukee. So, Kyle, you have a segment that you always love to do at the end of each episode. It is the Sue's Reviews. So, what have you got for us this week?
All right, so quick last minute review. I never prepare for these at all, by the way. I want to say a good 90% of these I just gotta pull up random things, be like, hey, let's look at this, guys. So let's look at today. I think we're gonna look at the movie. Oh, all right, here we go. We're gonna do this. Boom. So I want to talk about this. So random. I want to talk about this incredible movie. And I don't know how many people know this movie, but this is a Nick Cage classic called Drive Angry. I have the DVD right here. Yes, that's Amber Heard. Yes, that's Nicolas Cage. Great movie. It's a Grindhouse classic, which probably no one ever saw, actually. So I don't know. I would even say, I mean, it's probably not classic, but it's just a very silly movie about a guy whose daughter gets like. It's just really crazy where like this guy comes back from hell to get revenge on this guy who like wronged his family and stuff like that. So he has to come back, and and then he's being chased by like the devil's like right hand man played by William Fichtner, and he runs into this girl Amber Heard, and it's just like crazy. It literally doesn't make any sense, but that's what makes it so good, because it's a movie that you don't really have to think too much about. You just watch it. It's just Nicolas Cage like blowing up like random things. It's just a funny movie. It's
Nick Cage being in a Grindhouse film.
Yes,
that's all I need to know.
There you go. He's driving cars. He has this like
he's angry.
Oh, exactly. Look at the title. It just said the whole movie. You know.
Maybe we'll just drop a liner in there, like, you know, how to get burned or something like that. It'll be all good. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. It's just a fun time, you know. Especially if you like Nick Cage's run as Ghost Rider, you're gonna love this. This is fantastic. It's just like rated R greatness, you know.
Nice. Yeah. Well, thank you, Kyle, as always, for pulling another review out of your butt. Again, very special thank you to Jerome for coming on at yet another episode.
Thank you for having me.
I love
it. I love it when I come on. It's always fun.
We always enjoy having you. I mean, and tonight was no exception. You provide some great opinions to our scenarios, and we very much appreciate it. And looking forward to having you on again soon in the future, for sure.
Look forward to it.
So that's going to wrap up this week's edition of On a Couch Talking Sports. For Jerome and for Kyle, I'm Robbie, signing off here for On a Couch Talking Sports, and we will catch you next time. Bye, everybody.
and you're right, like you guys said, like all these natural disasters could happen. And you know, sorry, I'm a little skeptical. I've seen way too many of the Alien movies, you know, the Alien franchise with Sigourney Weaver.
And I'm not going to go too much further because even my own computer, you folks at home have no idea what I'll be talking about. I say this, but even my own computer doesn't want me ranting again this week, apparently. So, behind the scenes joke there, folks. Don't worry about it. Gotta love Zoom.